And we're going to start on page 139 in grammar. We're still going to do grammar today, and you still will have grammar homework. And then we'll do something different for your writing portion of the homework. But let's start with grammar. Page
You said
139.
135, right? Or what
Um,
page?
for some reason your microphone is like super loud, but I have 139. Is that what you guys are on? Did you finish all the way through 138? I see Emma giving me a thumbs up. I
Oh,
assigned
let me.
two weeks of grammar in a row. Um, 2 weeks of grammar for last week, basically. So you should be on 139. Does that make sense,
Oh,
Eliana? Okay. Yeah, because I didn't assign a writing assignment last week. I just did 2 weeks of grammar. We want to try to get through the book quick so that we can just focus on writing the rest of this school year. All right, so 139 is where I'm at. It's another review page. Um, we're talking about strong verb, quality adjective, and ly adverb. Uh, we know about those. We actually use those in our writing now too. So these are familiar to you guys. A strong verb, quality adjective, and ly adverb are three different ways to dress up writing. These stylistic devices add a strong image and feeling. So a strong verb is an action verb. It's never a linking or helping verb. Those are the smaller verbs that link things together and help other verbs. So they're the ones that are action. Strong verbs are action verbs. And then a quality adjective is more specific than a weak adjective. Remember how we banned good and bad? Those are considered like weak adjectives. You can use better words than good and bad in your writing, or nice. Sometimes people say, "Oh, he's nice. He's a nice friend." It's just kind of overused. So those would be considered weak. You just want to think of what's a better way to describe your friend, or what's a better way to describe the dog, that with more detail. A weak adjective is overused, boring, or vague. So you want to focus on quality. And then an ly adverb is used to enhance the meaning of a verb, an adjective, or an adverb that it modifies. So it's mainly talking about how something happens, and it watch out for those imposters, okay? Ly adverb usually modifies the verb. So here we have a little practice to do together. I'm just going to have you guys raise your hand as you come up with your answers here, but underline the weak word in the sentence and then circle a stronger word in the list below. Think about the meaning of the words in the context of the sentence. So the first one says the outlaws ran to Robin's aid. So the weak verb in that sentence is ran. So go ahead and just underline ran. And look at the choices here. Which one do you think would be a better verb for that sentence? So you can just raise your hand. Fled, traveled, hopped, hurried, rushed. Think about the context of the sentence. So Dakota, what do you think?
Um, Hold on. Dogs are barking.
Oh, that's okay. I can't even hear them.
Uh, Rushed.
Yes, rushed. I think that would be a good one. Chloe, what do you think?
Fled.
Fled. Well, actually, fled implies that you're fleeing, like you're going away from something or someone. So that one in the context of the sentence doesn't really work because the outlaws didn't flee to Robin's aid. That doesn't make sense. So make sure you pay attention to the context. I would say either rushed or hurried. Those two would work. Eliana, did you have another idea?
Yeah, I was gonna say rushed in the beginning, and then I went to hurried, and then you said hurried.
Yeah. So either one would work. Yep. How about the next one? The hungry men ate a hearty stew. So think about hungry men, like a bunch of hungry dads, okay? And a hearty stew. Which one of these would make sense for that? What do you think, Liana?
Devour?
I like devoured. That would work. Any others you guys see there? And you can raise your hand or emoji or in the camera. I'll try to catch everybody. I see yours, Dakota. It's another one.
Slurped.
Maybe slurped, but sometimes when we slurp though, like if I slurp my coffee, I'm taking like little sips, right? So I don't know if that would work for big hungry dudes that are eating a hearty stew. I think there's others that might be good, like feasted on or consumed. Definitely not nibbled, those little bites. But I see why you maybe slurped because it's a stew, it's liquidy, so maybe, but I think the best would be devoured, consumed, or feasted on. Okay, how about the next one? The stranger was big. Big is the weak adjective. What would be a better way to describe big? What do you think, Liana?
Gigantic?
Gigantic, that would totally work. Yep. Any others? Dakota?
Towering.
Towering would work. Huge would work. Even broad, that just means like shoulder wise, you know? That makes a guy look pretty big if his shoulders are pretty broad or wide. Roomy, no. That's like if you're talking about like I don't know, like a car. Like it was roomy in here. This is a nice car. You're not talking about somebody's body. So, how about this one? Robin was a good man instead of good. What could we pick instead of good, Emma?
Admirable.
Admirable. Yes, I like that one. Maybe hardworking. That might work for a good man. Impressive. Noble even might work. Impressive though, I'm questioning that one, but a good man usually means like he has good morals. He doesn't maybe cuss or drink or smoke or those types of things. Maybe he's just got a good look on life, like he's a good man. So these would be more descriptive, like noble and admirable. I would pick one of those two, actually, now that I think about that. Delicious doesn't work. Here, he was awfully wet. He was awfully wet. And awfully is what they're suggesting you change, even though it's not bad. Just means like really wet. So what do you guys think? What's another one you could use instead of awfully? What do you think, Paige? What's one you could pick instead of awfully wet?
Surprisingly.
Surprisingly would work. Thoroughly would work. Thoroughly just means like really wet, awfully wet, really wet, thoroughly wet. Okay. You get the idea. So just know that when you're doing your writing, there's always some other ideas for adjectives that you can use to help make a clear image of what you're talking about in your sentence. So let's move on to page 141. And how about Emma? Go ahead and read the sentence today.
Okay. Although the giant moved quickly, Robin's men dragged him into the water. He struggled furiously.
Okay, good. Struggled is our vocabulary. It just means to fight um, with an opponent or adversary, but he's also struggling to get out of the water. So fighting the water almost. Two articles, go ahead and label those by yourself. And let's see. How about Eliana? Eliana, where are the three nouns?
Robins?
Actually, Robins is going to be an adjective because it's going to be whose
Oh,
men.
it's gonna explain who's men.
Yeah,
So men,
men. Yep.
giant,
Yes.
and now I see the third adjective, water.
There you go. Water. All right. How about pronouns, Dakota? Where are the pronouns at?
Um, him
Yep.
and he.
Good. Him and he. And then Paige, what about the adjectives? There's one adjective that tells whose. We need an apostrophe too, actually.
Huh?
We need to fix an apostrophe too in that adjective too.
Robins.
Yes, so we need to put an apostrophe in, and then you're right. That is the adjective telling whose men it is. Good job. Two adverbs. Liana, where are the two adverbs at?
Um,
Remember, those often have ly adverbs.
oh, quickly.
Quickly is one, yep.
And then the last word.
Furiously, yes.
Seriously?
Furiously. Just means like super angry. If you're furious, you're just like, like raging. We're going to come back to prepositional phrase. So what about the adverb clause, Chloe?
Um, although the giant moved quickly, Robin's men dragged him to the water.
It's going to be actually too quickly. Although the giant moved quickly. That's the adverb clause. It stops at quickly. So you were pretty close. AC for that one. The reason why it doesn't keep going, because this is going to be a main clause. So speaking of main clauses, how about Emma? Where's the main clauses? Where are the main clauses here?
Over here.
Robin's men dragged him to the water.
Good. That's one. I think somebody needs to mute. I hear some background sound here.
Grim and
Is it Eliana, maybe? Okay. And then where's the other main clause?
He struggled furiously.
There you go. Good job.
Sorry,
All
I
right.
forgot to mute.
Oh, that's okay. Subject verb pair. How about Paige? Where are the verbs?
Moved.
Good.
Check how many there are. Dragged.
And there's one more.
Struggled.
Good. Nice. And then how about Eliana? Where are the subjects? So who's doing these verbs here?
The giant.
Giant is one.
Men.
Men is one. Yep.
Is he gonna be one?
Yep. He struggled. So we got giant moved. Those go together. Men dragged.
Robin. Men
And
dragged.
he struggled. That's it. Good job. Prepositional phrase. How about Chloe? Where's the prepositional phrase?
To the water.
Okay, good. To the water. Oh yeah, so that's it. I thought there was more, but that's it. How about the openers? How about Emma? Where are the openers at?
Clausal,
Good. Do you remember the number?
number 5.
Good.
And VSS.
Good. You caught that. It's a number 6, VSS right here. Even though it starts with subject, we're calling it a VSS because it's short. Good job. Capitals, find that by yourself. And then we got the apostrophe. 2 end marks. So it's also going to be part of the comma thing. So what do you think, Dakota? What are we going to do for the end marks and the commas? How can we figure that one out?
The comma after water, cross that out
Yes.
and put a period.
Yes, good. I'm just going to put it way down here, but it's supposed to go between. Yes. What's the other comma?
After quickly.
Yes, good. So whenever you start with an adverb clause and then a main clause, you need a comma between. That's good. And then we just have a period at the very end. Good job. Nice. Any questions about grammar today or even your homework grammar or anything with grammar? I don't see anybody jumping up and down. It's okay. That's good. All right. So we're gonna put away grammar for a second, and then your homework is gonna be just week 24, which is the one we just did. So you'll do day 2, 3, and 4. So 3 pages this time for grammar as usual. All right, so now I know that I mentioned the topic last week, but here we go again. We're going to get ready for this. And the reason why I'm choosing to do this with you is because I want you to be familiar with it when you sit down to do it. And you'll be like, okay, I got this. And everybody, you're going to do a great job. So there's 2 main parts to the test. It's math and math and language arts. Okay, 2 main parts. Some of you might be taking science. Um, but the math has 2 parts to it, and the language arts has 2 parts to it. Now, I'm your writing teacher, so I'm going to help you get ready for the writing part of the test. That's one of the parts to the language arts. So language arts has reading and writing. For the reading part, you're going to read and answer questions. For the writing part, you're going to read and write. Okay. So that's the part I'm going to help you get ready for. And the coolest thing, I'm not kidding, because I've been a teacher for about 24 years now. A long, long, long time. Okay. I didn't start teaching this type of class. I've been teaching this class for 5 years out of 24. So all those other like 19 years, I didn't have this. I didn't know about this IEW. And it is going to help you so much in life, in your education. If you go to college, it'll help you in college. If you don't go to college, it's going to help you in your career, and it's going to help you for now in these tests. So that's why I'm excited. I don't like tests, so I'm with you on that. Okay. I used to hate tests when I was a kid. I always got a stomach ache on that day. I always felt like, so stressed
No
over it.
tests.
But you have to do it. You got this. And I know some of you believe in God and you pray, and I encourage you to pray before you start your test. Just that'll help you kind of get your head in the right space if you believe that. I do. So, anyway, this is going to be good because I'm going to help you get ready for the writing part. So, get out 2 pieces of lined paper. We're going to start with blank paper because you probably remember you guys are in an older grade now. When you sit down to take the test, they will let you have blank paper, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes a blank whiteboard with a whiteboard marker, but you're going to have access to blank paper, lined paper, and a pen or a pencil or both, whichever one you prefer using is fine. Okay. So get out 2 pieces of lined paper. When you log in to the test, your teacher, your HST, I think most of you are with Heartland. A couple of you might be with a different charter, but it'll probably be a Zoom call when you do the test. So the good thing is you'll probably be at home, but you'll have somebody watching you take the test because they want to make sure that you don't cheat, even though I know nobody in here would even do that. They want to yes, they just want you to have a blank piece of paper. And yeah, you can do this later, Esther. That's fine, because I know you're not feeling great. When you sit down and you log in with your teacher and you put in all your stuff, and your teacher will walk you through all that. And then your teacher says, you may now begin the test. That'll be what your teacher says. As soon as he or she says that, you're going to write down a checklist. This is only for the writing part of the test. And by the way, this is called the performance task. So when you hear language arts performance task, that's the writing part of the test. At the very top of your paper, just put checklist. This is the first thing before you even read the directions, before you even start clicking on the test. As soon as your teacher says you may now begin the test, the first thing you write is a checklist. The reason why is because if you can remember to add your dress ups and your openers and all those great things we learned in class That alone will increase your score by a lot. That alone. So look at you. You're ahead of everybody else. Okay. Like I said, I wish I would have known this sooner. Skip a line. Let's just put dress ups right here and draw a line. Now, when these are the types of dress up words that you include in your writing, don't write the openers yet, but I want you to think of as many dress ups as you can without looking at your checklist, your real checklist. You're going to just think about what's in your head. I'll give you the first one is ly adverb. Now, you do not have to write this in the same order as on your real checklist. Just randomly think about all the things you underline when you're doing homework for me. Make a list of all the types of dress ups that you have on your list that you check off, okay? And then let me know when you got as many as you can think of. Try not to peek at your real checklist. Are you writing it down, Chloe? Write down what you can remember from your dress up list. It's okay if you don't remember all of them. Just remember, write down what you can remember. Okay. Paige, what do you have so far on your list?
Ly adverb, whose clause, because clause, adverb clause, quality adjective, clinchers.
Okay, who, which, you have because, and then you said quality adjective.
Adverb clause and clinchers.
Adjective. Yeah, the adverb clause, you're right about that. They call it www.asia, but if you put adverb, that's okay too. And then I know you have topic clinchers, that's good too. And we'll write your openers on a different list, but this is a really good one. Let's see, you got ly, who, which, because, quality adjective, www.asia. Does anybody else have any others? Eliana?
I have ly adverb because clause, www.asia, strong verb, quality adjective, and who which clause.
Good. Strong verb. That was the one we were missing right there. Good. Now, if you only thought of like three, that's okay. I don't want this part to stress you out when you take the test. Just put as many as you can remember, because every little bit you can remember, that's going to improve your score. Now I know that Paige said topic clincher. Just skip a line and let's just put topic clincher on here because that is something that would be good. It's not necessarily part of your dress ups, but that does help your paper sound really good. And then skip another line. And this time I want to put, whoops, if I can spell it, sentence openers. Try to remember, I think you only have one right now on your actual writing assignment. Who knows what one opener you are using right now? Emma, what opener is that?
Prepositional.
Prepositional. Now we know others in our grammar book, so you can write others that you remember. We also, in our grammar, we look for ly openers. We look for what do you guys know so far? What other openers can you remember from your grammar book? Eliana, is there others? Or did you have that might be, your hand might be up from another question.
Oh yeah,
That's okay.
that was from the.
Let's just leave prepositional. If you want to add VSS and ly adverb, you can add those. But since we're only really using this in our writings right now, just put prepositional opener. All right. So the other thing I want you to do, and by the way, I'm going to tell you something about this essay. I want you to try to write 5 paragraphs on the test. Write at least 3 paragraphs, but 5 is ideal. And here's the thing about the test. You have lots and lots and lots of time. That's probably going, if I had to pick one thing that's the hardest about the test, is how long it is. Not what they're asking you to do. It's not that hard. That part of this part of the test with the writing, it's just going to take time. So ideally, 5 paragraphs is best. If you can at least get 3 paragraphs out, that's good. So next to the dress ups over here on the side, I know you don't have much space in the margin. I'm just going to have you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's so you have a little spot to check. Like, for example, don't put any check marks yet, but this is what it would look like. As you include these dress ups in your paragraph, you're just going to check under the paragraph. Okay. That's just a little note for you. So you can remember that. So good. That's the first step. Your teacher says you may now begin the test. Boom, you write down checklist. And your teacher might say, you might ask you questions like, what are you writing or whatever. You could just say, I'm making a checklist, and they may not even ask you because they know you're in my class. So write out your checklist. It's totally, totally legal to do that. And I super encourage you to do that. Yes, Eliana? Or no, I'm sorry, it was Esther. Sorry.
Yeah.
Esther.
I'm like, well,
Sorry.
So when you said we need to write a paper, is that the paper that we're writing for our historical in the test?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, we're gonna wait on that assignment. We're taking a
Okay.
break from the binder. That's a good question because
Thanks.
the testing window opens up in a couple of weeks, and I don't know when you guys are going to take the test. So I just wanted to do it early so that you were ready for it. And then we'll go back into the historical person paper, but we're not going to write that one yet. That's why I had you guys put in all that stuff on that Google Doc so that we can keep it safe. We don't lose it. All right, good question though. No, this is going to be different. So now on your second piece of line paper, this is the second step when you sit down and you start taking the test. Step 1, make a checklist. Step 2, make a KWO. So you don't have to worry about name and date and all that because this is just your scratch paper for during the test. You're going to put Roman numeral 1, 1 through 5. And we're not going to write clincher on this one because this would be your introduction. You don't have to have a clincher on your introduction. In the margin, just put intro. Number 1 is your introduction. Okay, skip a space under 5, Roman numeral 2, 1 through 5. We're just going to keep them all 5. This one is a body paragraph. I do want you to put clincher to remind yourself, topic, clincher. Remember, you haven't even read anything on the test yet. You haven't started reading the articles. You haven't started reading the questions. Your teacher says you may begin 2 things you're going to do, checklist, KWO, and then you go to the test. Okay. This is super important to get this set up first. Skip a space, Roman numeral 3, 1 through 5, clincher. Topic. This is the body paragraphs, the 3 middle paragraphs. Roman numeral 4 is IV, 1 through 5, clincher. Don't worry, I'll give you a second to catch up on this. Topic clincher for Roman numeral 4. We will do Roman numeral 5 on the back. Yes, Esther?
Sorry. So wait, are these the 5 paragraphs you want us to do in the test?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have to do all 5?
Okay, so that's a good question. My answer to you is no, you don't have to, but Do I want you to? Yes. Does your parent, your mom and dad want you to? Yes. Does your HST want you to? Yes. Does the state of California want you to? Yes. So don't take the easy way out. I want you to challenge yourself and do 5 paragraphs. And you're going to do 5 for your homework this week as practice. Well, you're only going to do 3 technically this week. Next week, we'll add the introduction and conclusion next week. Okay. So technically, your homework this week is the 3 for practice, the 3 body paragraphs.
Okay, so are we starting the paragraph here and then doing it at the test, or?
So this is all practice. Okay. So
Okay.
you are going to practice the test, but it's not the real test. Okay, this
Okay.
is just a practice. So when you sit down to do the real test, you're all on your own with it. You're not going to turn it into me for homework. You're not going to turn in anything to me. That when you do the
Okay.
real test, it's for the test. This is just preparing you. We're practicing like we're going to pretend like this is a test. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So your subject of your paper is going to be different when you take the real test. So whatever we practice today is not the real test, but it's like almost the same.
Okay, what is the subject for our paper?
I'll tell you in just a minute.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So, does everybody have their keyword outline set up? Okay, good. This is what I want you to do, like I said, before you even start. Now you're ready to look at what the test is asking you to do. So I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. Now, this is going to be familiar to you because you guys have all done this before. I know sometimes even just seeing this is like a, right? Just take
What
a
is
deep
that?
breath. What is what?
That.
What I'm showing you? Oh,
Yes.
this is the test. This is what it's going to look like.
Oh, yeah, I've never done that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing we're practicing now.
No.
When you sign in on the real day, you'll put in your name, ID number, and your teacher will help you with that part. For today, because this is practice, I'm signing in as a guest. Okay. So this is just practice. This is just what I want you to see it, Esther, because I want you to be familiar with it. So when you sit down to actually do the real one, you'll be like, okay, I remember this. Mrs. C showed me this. So it's going to take away some of that worry so you can be prepared for it. Okay. So they'll walk you through all the parts to this test. Now, your teacher will already have this picked out for you. I don't know why I said picked, but anyway. These are the grades. Now, some students in this class are in different grades. That's okay. I'm going to choose grade 7. If you're not in 7th grade, that's okay because these tests are very similar, okay? This is just for practice, so we're all good taking this one together. I just want to make sure that's super clear. And it's going to be your teacher will walk you through all these steps that I'm clicking. But as you look at this is how it's going to be split up for you. You have English Language Arts, ELA, and it says Computer Adaptive Test and ELA Performance Tasks. The one that says Performance Tasks for ELA, that is your writing part of the test. Okay. And your teacher will tell you this. So don't worry when you sit down to do this, your teacher will walk you through all this part. So you'll know exactly what to do. So I'm just going to click through this just so you can see what it looks like. Remember this little play button? It goes do 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 do, right? Remember that part? You probably can't hear it because I didn't share my sound with you, but that's the sound. It's like a do 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 do. And then you click, yes, I heard it. And then you click begin test now. And this is where your HST will say, you may now begin the test. First thing you do, write down a checklist. Second thing you do, write down your keyword outline, just the outline part with the numbers. Get it all set up. And now you can look at what you have on the screen. So there's 2 sides to this. The left side is the student directions, And this is where all of the articles and sources are that you will read. And I'm going to scroll, and yes, it's a lot, and that's okay. Do not freak out. There are many paragraphs to read. It's okay. You have lots and lots and lots of time. Okay. That's the thing. I'm telling you that it's going to take you time. I'm just showing you what the left side looks like. That's all the articles in one row.
How much time do we get?
Okay, hold on. You get unlimited. Seriously. So it's not a time test. So you might have a window for your Zoom call. They might have like 2 hours for your Zoom. But if you're not done with it in 2 hours, you just reschedule to finish it another time. That's what I mean. So you don't have to rush, okay? Just take your time out. Just be prepared to sit for a couple hours, okay? You can have water. That's the other thing I want to remind you is that you can take little breaks if you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to go get a drink of water. I recommend like walking around for a minute, maybe pet your cat or pet your dog. That always helps me feel better. And then do some jumping jacks and then sit down and come back to it, okay? And that'll help your brain reset. So if you start to feel like tense in your shoulders or tired, like you start yawning and stuff like that, just ask for a break. They will let you take a break and then you can like go do those things and come back to it, okay? So it says napping, explanatory performance task. You're going to write about napping, speaking of being tired. So hopefully nobody's too tired in here. You're going to write about sleeping and napping for my class. This is just for practice. You're going to have a different subject when you do the real test. You might even have a different style of essay. This one's explanatory, which means you're going to explain. So this is the one that's you're most familiar with. Like when you guys wrote about, let's see, what is something you wrote about? When you wrote, oh, Amelia Earhart, for example. You're giving information about her. You're explaining about her life. Okay, that's the style of paper. You might have an opinion essay where you give an opinion about something. Like if I were to say dogs are better than cats, that's my opinion. People might argue that and say cats are better than dogs. I disagree with that. So it's where you make a statement about opinion and then you support that. So we'll practice a little bit of that too. I'm going to keep talking, but if you guys have questions while I'm talking, just raise your hand and I will answer your question, okay? On the right side of the screen, you're going to see a number 1. If you go way over here, you're going to see a 1 and a 2. This part of the test, part 1, has 2 sections, section 1 and section 2. Section 1 says this is where you start when you get all your notes ready to go, like your checklist and your outlines set up. You're going to start here on the right side and read this first. It says, explain how the table in source number 1 supports information provided in the 2 other sources. Cite evidence and identify the source of each piece of information by title or number. So this is called the short answer part of the test. This is not where you're going to put your big 5-paragraph essay. This section right here is only going to be 3 or 4 sentences. That's it. Easy peasy cheesy. Your first sentence will be something about this table that we're going to look at. And then you're going to write 2 other sentences about other sources. That makes 3, and you can add an extra sentence to make 4. So 3 or 4 short answer. This is not your big essay right here. So the table they're talking about is in source 1. So I'm just going to show you over here. If I scroll down, you'll find source number 1 right here. I highlighted it in blue. The name of this source is How Much Sleep is Enough. That's the title. And they're calling it sources. We call it articles. So basically, same thing. You're familiar with that, right? This is an article that they printed out or they put on the computer for you. This is the table that this is asking about. Explain how the table in source 1 supports information provided in the 2 other sources. So here's the table of information right here. age, recommended amount of sleep. Little babies require a lot more sleep than we do. But if you read it across, newborns require 16 to 18 hours a day. Preschool age children, that's like age 4, 11 to 12 hours a day. School age, that's like between 5 years old and 12 years old, 10 hours a day. Teens, if you're 13 through 19, you need about 9 to 10 hours a day. Adults, including the elderly, 7 to 8 hours a day. That's what they recommend. I know a lot of us probably don't get that. I don't get that all the time. I try to, but I don't. But that's what they're recommending. And then you're going to read source 1 here. And then you're going to go down to source number 2. This is the next source. This one's called The Secret Truth About Napping. Now, if you have the packet, this is where you'll find these sources printed out for you. And I recommend if you don't have the packet printed yet, do that for your homework so you have it with you when you do your homework, because I'm doing the practice with you, but you're also doing it as your homework, okay? If I keep scrolling now, you're going to read source number 2 and find information that supports what the chart said or what the table said. The table tells us how many hours are recommended per age group. And then you're going to read this and find information that supports that. Okay. And then if you keep scrolling, this is the longest article. Some of this is like references here. So you don't necessarily need all that. And then there's source number 3 called Ask the Sleep Doctor. This is a letter, 2 letters actually. So you're going to find information in here from the doctor that supports the information on the table. And you're going to put together 3 or 4 sentences. Now, when you write something from an article, you can reference it like in source number 2, it says, and then continue with what it says. That means you're referencing, you're identifying the source that you got the information from. Or instead of putting source 2, you could say in the article, ask the sleep doctor. It suggests blank. See where I'm going with that? So you can reference the source or the article with your reasons. Now, on this part of the test, you do not need to use your checklist yet. Your checklist is for your essay. This is just short answers. So don't worry about LY, who, which, all that stuff in here. You're just giving a short answer. This is what the chart says or the table says, and here's 2 reasons or 2 things that support that. Okay, any questions about this number 1 here? It's pretty short, 3 or 4 sentences. That's it. The longest part is going to be you reading everything. Over here, switching over to number 2. Number 2 is set up a little different. All you're doing is checking boxes. I do recommend that you read 1 and 2 before you read the main articles, just so you know what you're going to be looking for. But it basically says, click on the boxes to show the claim or claims that each source supports. Some sources will have more than 1 box selected. On the left here, and this is going to be how it's going to look on your test. They're going to have a statement like this. If you take too long of a nap, you might feel sleepy. This is the claim. And you're going to look for which article talks about that very specific thing. There might be more than 1 article. Maybe it's in article 1 or source 1, and maybe it's in source 2. And then you wouldn't check source 3, but you're going to look to see if it's in there, okay? I'm just guessing here. I'm not sure. I haven't really figured that one out yet, but that's how you would find it. It's cool because you'll look for it in there. The next claim is if your sleep patterns interrupt your body's internal clock, you might have trouble getting enough sleep. Look for that in source 1, source 2, and source 3. Check the boxes where you find the information about that. And then here's the third claim. Deep sleep helps the brain to operate at a higher level. Look back into source 1, 2, and 3. Which one talks about helping the brain? Deep sleep helping the brain. What's cool about the writing test is the answers are there. You just have to go back and look. Okay. Any questions about this page at all? No. Okay. So that's 1 and 2. 1 is short answer, 2 or 3, 3 or 4 sentences. Number 2, checking boxes. All right. Now I'm going to click next, and you're going to see a number 3. That is it. You have 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. It's not like you have to go through 50 things. Okay, there's 3. The third one is your essay. This is the one where you're going to do your big essay on number 3. Okay, if I scroll down on the right side, you're going to see a much bigger box. It's big over here. That's where you're going to write, you're going to type your essay. 5 paragraphs. It's nice that you're typing because then you can go back and maybe you figure out your checklist and you got to go back. Oh, I'm going to change this sentence and I'm going to move this around. And by the way, you do not have to underline or highlight or bold or number your checklist on the test. You're just going to make sure it's there. You don't have to highlight it or underline it. Yes, Dakota, do you have a question?
The prepositional openers, how do you label that?
Well, for this class, you're going to label it with a 2. But
Okay.
for the test, you don't have to. You just need to try to get one in there. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You don't have to label it for the test. That's just what you're learning in my class. So the state won't even know what that means if you put a 2 by it.
Okay.
So, that's a good question though, because the state doesn't know IEW. You guys are ahead of them on that, but so they're gonna just see how you write your sentences and they're gonna love it. They're gonna love that you use your ly adverbs and your who which and all that stuff. They're gonna go, wow, okay, this kid knows how to write. All right. So now that you're on 3, I'm going to look at the student directions. It says napping explanatory performance task. This is part 2. Yes, Esther.
So I have a question. Are we allowed to look at other sites to look at like adjectives and strong verbs and stuff like that or not?
Nope. Great
Okay.
question. I'm glad you're asking because literally the only thing that you can have during the actual test is blank paper and a pen or a pencil, maybe a blank whiteboard and a whiteboard marker, and that is it.
Ugh.
You cannot use a dictionary, you cannot use a thesaurus, you cannot use the
What?
internet, you cannot use your binder or your grammar book or any lists that you have around the room. They're going to tell your parents to cover all that stuff because this is a test of what you know inside your own brain.
Except for we can have the checklist and the topic, the thing you showed us, right?
You can't have it ready before the test. You have to wait
You
until
can.
they say you may now begin the test, and that's when you write it down because literally they will
Okay.
only let you have blank paper. That's why I wanted you to practice like writing it down first.
Well, that's crazy.
I know. That's how they do it. Don't
I'm
worry.
excited now. I can see why everybody's so upset. I
Yeah, I know.
understand.
Paige is particularly upset. I keep seeing her
I can
making
see later.
faces over there. I know. You got this. You got this. Just know you're going to hear my voice, okay? Everybody's going to hear this. Oh, Mrs. C says I got this. And I believe it. And you do. All right. Your assignment. It says right here, now that you've completed the research on the topic of sleep, this is after you've read everything, right? This is after you've done 1 and 2. Now you're on 3. The Journalism Club advisor has asked you to write an explanatory article about sleep and naps for the next issue of the school newspaper. The audience for your article will be other students, teachers, and parents. And then we're going to keep going. Using more than one source, develop a thesis slash controlling idea. I'm going to stop right there. A thesis slash controlling idea is a sentence about sleeping and napping. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what I recommend for that, but it's basically a sentence, a statement about sleeping and napping. Okay, so I'll explain that more in a minute. To explain about sleep and naps, once you have a thesis slash controlling idea, select the most relevant information from more than one source and support your thesis slash controlling idea. Then write a multi-paragraph explanatory article explaining your thesis slash controlling idea. Clearly organize your article and elaborate your ideas. Unless quoting directly from the sources, use your own words. Be sure to reference the source title or number when quoting or paraphrasing details or facts from the sources. When you're doing the actual test, I do want you to take your time reading all of this, but for the sake of time in our class, I'm not going to read all of that to you. So, back over on this side, your task. There has been much discussion in the news, and you will have already read this for parts 1 and 2 for that first section. There have been much discussion about in the news recently about the role of sleep and the role of napping. How many hours of sleep is enough? What is too much sleep? What is too little sleep? How do naps fit into sleep cycles? The Journalism Club advisor has asked you to research the roles of sleep and napping. As part of your research, you have found 3 sources about sleep and napping. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip this, but when you do the actual test, make sure you read everything. I'm going to scroll down here back to source number 1. If you have the printed packet, source number 1 begins on page 3. It is called How Much Sleep is Enough? Okay, so here back to your keyword outline. This is the easiest way to do this for the test. Your 3 body paragraphs are what you're going to write, your 3 information from the 3 sources. So remember, source number 1 says, how much sleep is enough? Now, I know this is more than 3 words, but right next to Roman numeral 2, whatever the title is for source 1, I want you to write it here. How much sleep is enough? I am wanting you to put the name, the title of your source for source number 1 right here. And in parentheses, if that helps you too, you could put source number 1. I'll explain it. Hang on, Esther, before you start asking me. I know this is different than what we normally do, but this is going to be the easiest to organize your thoughts. Now, 1 through 5 are going to be details and facts from that article, the whole thing. You're not going to do paragraph by paragraph. It's the whole source. So as you're reading source number 1, you're going to look for details here for facts and details to list keywords. Use 3 keywords. If you have to use 4, I'm okay with that for the test. Use numbers and symbols as you need them, like we normally do. I forgot to have you guys write your thesis up here. So in the margin at the very top of your page, write the word thesis. It said thesis slash controlling idea. It's the same thing. It's basically a statement about sleeping and napping. So you can make up this statement. I'm going to make one up right here. You can copy mine, or you can make up your own. Okay? I'm going to say, it is important to get, and go ahead and write this kind of small, enough sleep in order to stay healthy. Period. It's a statement about sleep. That's mine. You might have a different one. Mention something about sleep and being healthy. Okay, because that is important. It is important to get enough sleep in order to stay healthy. That's a good thesis. So once you have your thesis figured out, everything you find in these articles is going to support that. Getting enough sleep. All right, I got to jump over back to the online test. Whoops, let me share this screen. If I scroll down to source number 2, source number 2 is called The Secret Truth About Napping. If you're in the packet, you'll find that one too, The Secret Truth About Napping. So that's going to be Roman numeral 3. The secret truth about napping. Source number 2. This is the easiest way, like I said, to organize your outline is just do one source for each of your Roman numerals here. When I scroll down and I look for source number 3, I'm just going to tell you quickly because we're running out of time. The third source is called Ask the Sleep Doctor. Ask the Sleep Doctor. Source number 3. Even though you're writing down the titles of each one of these sources, you can still use that in your first sentence of your paragraph. How can we know how much sleep is enough? That could be a great way to start off that paragraph. Find facts and details inside the paragraph that support that. And support it is important to get enough sleep in order to stay healthy. You're going to remember this too. The secret truth about napping. You're going to read that source, find 5 details. Now, you might find like 10 details or facts that you think are great. You're going to have to narrow it down to just 5 because they don't want you to write these ginormous paragraphs. You need to really be specific about what you write about. You're going to keep your paragraphs at 6 sentences. You can add extra sentences if you need to for fillers. You know what I mean by that? So your homework, go ahead and circle Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 4. Your homework is your 3 body paragraphs about napping. Now, print this when you get a chance later. I'm going to send it, well, I already sent it to your parents, but I'm going to put it on Google Classroom too. So print these. And then you're going to use those articles to find facts, and then you're going to write 3 body paragraphs. We're going to do the introduction and the conclusion next week. So don't lose these things. Keep track of them. Okay, I see a couple questions. Emma, go ahead.
I was just wondering if we can have as much scratch paper as we want.
Yes, great question. You can have as much as you want. Yep,
Good.
100%. Any other questions? That's why using it is going to help you. You guys already have a plan. You guys remember when you used to take this test, it was like, what do I start with? I don't know what to say. How do I even know what to put? You know now. You guys got this. That's what I'm saying. It's just going to take time, but this is not that bad. The writing test, piece of cake, Paige. You got this. All right.
Paige's having a meltdown.
I know. It's going to be okay,
Huh?
Paige. Anybody else have any questions before you go?
We only doing 3 paragraphs this week and the stuff, and then we'll do the next 2 tomorrow, next week.
Only 3 paragraphs this week and grammar.
Okay.
That's it. These 3 paragraphs. So you're going to have to print what I send you, okay? So you have it to use. Yes, Dakota?
Can I show the class something?
Well, I'm late. So if you guys want to stay on and see what Dakota wants to share,
Yes.
if you
wanna
need to
see.
go, you can go. I'm going to stop the recording now.